And Florida investigators have a major break in the case of Jared Bridegan. He is a young Microsoft executive gunned down last year in front of his daughter. Authorities arrested Mario Fernandez, the second husband of Bridegan's ex-wife, and have charged him with Bridegan's murder. Another man, Henry Tenen, also pleaded guilty to Bridegan's murder just before Fernandez's arrest. Tenen will now testify against Fernandez as part of his deal. And with that, let's bring in criminal defense attorney, trial attorney, Brian Claypool. Brian, it's always great to have. I want your thoughts on the Jared Bridegan thing, because now it seems like this thing really is tangled up, right? You have the ex-wife, and her new husband is now accused of killing Jared Bridegan.
Yeah, Trace, great to be with you. The new husband's in a heap of trouble. Why? Because they tracked down checks. I think there were 3 checks they tracked down that he allegedly paid to this guy Tenen to allegedly kill, I believe his name's Finnegan. And then you have over the span of 2 months, over 60 phone calls between this guy Fernandez, the ex-husband, or the husband, and Tenen. So that clearly is going to implicate him. Yeah. And then you've got Tenen testifying against him.
Bridegan, yeah. Jared Bridegan is of course, the victim here. I want to move on because this heartrending story, we're talking about the 13-year-old Dallas girl. She was found in a shed that was locked up 1,000 miles away in North Carolina. A bunch of evidence against the suspect, 34-year-old Jorge Camacho. I mean, this case is really disturbing. And I was telling our producer, had this happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when we were covering the case of Smart, Elizabeth Smart, this would have been national coverage for days, and it's not getting much attention. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I help victims of sexual abuse and human trafficking, and this is a heartbreaker. And I think, look, the media has got to try to help pay attention to this. I think the problem we've gotten into is this, especially with, President Biden, then we had Trump. A lot of attention was on Trump, now it's on Biden. I think we need to get back to helping these kids. And also, I think another issue we got to talk about is these social media portals, Instagram, Facebook. Should they be held liable for not patrolling these sites? I mean, this girl's a minor, and there's a predator who's communicating with her on a social media platform. Maybe Biden should focus on trying to create a law to hold some of these social media outlets responsible for these kidnaps, sexual abuse, and murders.
Leave the censorship alone and maybe do a little bit of patrolling, policing on your own site. Yeah. Texas has now passed a bill allowing fentanyl distributors with murder, right? You can accuse them of murder. Greg Abbott said the following here, the Texas governor, here we go. You kill Texans with fentanyl, you get charged with murder. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, the new law, it was passed by the state Senate in Texas. New law sounds good, looks good. It's a sexy law, but does it have a really strong legal bite? I don't think so. The reason why is, in order to prevail on a first-degree felony, you've got to prove that the seller of the fentanyl knew that he or she that the drug had fentanyl in it. We've been hearing a lot about drugs, for example, like Adderall, that these sellers are going to say, I didn't know that fentanyl was in there. And does that really get to the core? Who's manufacturing and distributing these drugs? You just did a piece on the border. Maybe Biden needs to be doing more partnership and collaboration with the president of Mexico to try to work on finding some of these cartel members who are sending the fentanyl over, and work on an extradition policy to get them over here, and let's prosecute them.
But I'm wondering, if not teeth, do these laws at least have a deterrent effect against somebody who might want to distribute fentanyl? Yeah,
look, it's always good to see a state like Texas try to go after criminals, because we live in LA and California, where I don't feel like our prosecutors do. So it is a good law, and you're right. Maybe somebody who's got a drug that's thinking about selling it, maybe they'll think twice, because they're going to go to jail for 20 or 30 years. So maybe it can be a deterrent.
Brian Claypool, good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Trace.